4 of our W900 build along. Last week, if you want to recount, actually we're going to wait for the crowd to get together here. Let's give it a few minutes here. It's only 7:56 and we'll get started at 8. So we'll let YouTube do its thing and let everyone know we're here, and then we will get to cruising along. While we're waiting for YouTube to do its thing, we'll just slide on over here and get ready for part of our lesson tonight. What do you think of that? So what we're doing here is, there we go. Gonna get our airbrush prepared. I gotta put this together because I like to take it apart whenever I am done using it, and then put it back together when I use it next. So we're just kind of chilling here waiting for 8 o'clock to roll around. I am notorious if I've got a couple of minutes, I'm gonna go do something. We've got Sundown Model Farms. Hello, good evening. Busted Knuckle Gaming. Hello, hello. All right, there we go. So that part of it's done. Now we have to do is mix up a little paint, which I'm going to show you here in a bit. And then we'll get going on that. And we'll kick on the air compressor. I'm not sure if many of you know, but I did a video on my old, I think I put it on Instagram. Anyways, I had this old pancake air compressor that I used for my airbrush. It's one of them $100 deals at Orscheln's, or yeah, farm store. Orscheln's is what they call it here. Anyways, $100 pancake air compressor was just noisy. Golly, it's so noisy. I even had it on the other side of that insulated wall, and it's still noisy in here. It's loud. So I went and did some research online, and I wanted the quietest air compressor I could find. California air compressors were the ones that were recommended. So I bought a $200 model, and holy cow, does it live up to its reputation. It is super quiet. I absolutely am in love with this air compressor. I can use it on my airbrush, and then if I want to go air up a car tire or run maybe even an air tool, I can do that too. But my only complaint is that it takes a little long to air up. Other than that, I love it. Okay, we've got Sundown Models is asking if my stacks came in. No, they have not. So I went ahead and had my first set of 3D printed stacks. I tried to have them chrome plated in China, and because of their size, they warped, and my customer service rep says, we can do them for you, but they'll be ugly. So I said, cancel the order, I got a refund, and I went ahead and had I just had some test prints run at shapeways.com here in the States. Those will come in, and what I will do is let me see, my Molotow Chrome is over there, but I'll just shoot with Molotow Chrome and see how that works. So that's kind of the plan at the moment. Login Self says hello and hi back. Welcome, welcome. All right, there we go. It's 8. All right, everyone. Eric with Rockin' HTV in the Diecast Lab. Tonight we're working on lesson 4 of our W900 build along. Last week I left you with this task. We went ahead and filled in these windows. If you're doing it the same way I'm doing it, we went ahead and filled in the windows with JB Weld. We cut these fairings off the back of the sleeper on both of them, you can see. I went ahead and sanded mine and primed them, and your task was to get them clean, ready for primer, and hopefully you've done that if you haven't, and then your first sanding job done. So that's where you should be tonight, and I shot primer on mine. Now, after my first sanding, I always shoot a little primer on, because the colors, just the different colors, whatever body filler you used, along with the color that I cast, I think, to me, it's just deceiving on your eyes, because it's just deceiving on your eyes, just that combination of colors. So what I do is I shoot primer on, and then that reveals all the imperfections you need to go back and fix. So it seems like I never get it right the first time. And let me get a pointer. Right there. Here you can see some blems. Right there. Looks like I got a little crazy and sanded part of my door off. That was not so good. On the passenger side, actually this is the driver's side, on this one, you can see right there, got a hole, there's an air pocket, and then a few little marks here on the plastic window. And then this is another one. This one turned out pretty good, first go. Looks like the only thing I need to come back in here and file just a little bit more of this down, because I got a little lip right there. And right in here, right there, you can kind of see a little blem. And then on this side, there's a line, pretty obvious line of depression right here, little air pocket there, and then a groove right here where my knife is right there. So a couple of blems there. This is no worries, okay? If you get it right the first time, you're a lot better body man than I am. So kudos if you got it right the first time. If you didn't, this is what I recommend. This is a product I use. This is just Bondo glazing and spot putty. Really super simple to work with. We'll go ahead and fill that in just a moment. There, moving some parts out of the way. So we'll go ahead and finish. We're going to go ahead and finish our body work right there. Hey Dustin, how are you? And then we're going to mix some paint up in the airbrush because our fenders are a different color than the rest of the cab. So what we'll do is we're just going to shoot some Radiant Fire Metallic. This is N3262. This is a DuPont paint color. So we're going to mix that up and shoot it over all four fenders because we're doing two cabs. Now, we're not going to get worried about getting paint up here on the rest of the hood. That doesn't matter because we're going to cover it up with gold. So that'll be the second color on top of the dark. Now, I found it's way, and you're going to see this when we go ahead and mask these fenders off next week and paint the rest of this truck gold. Well, you're going to see here, or what I'm going to show you, is it is way easier to put tape over the flat part of this flat part of the fender than it is to put it up here on the side of the hood and follow these curves down. You can do it this way, but man, it is a lot more difficult to get a nice, clean, sharp line than if you just go over top of the fender. I mean, it's just so much easier. So much easier. And unlike the Peterbilt, the Kenworth fenders do not come off. Peterbilt fenders come off. And so 379, 389, 359, all those fenders come off. Even the Lone Star fenders come off. DCP Lone Star, those fenders come off. What else am I missing? There's probably another one that I just haven't done in a while. But anyway, so there's a couple of trucks here where the fenders come off and then some that don't. So let's flip this camera around and get to work. Whoops, sorry about that. There we go. Alrighty, here we go. We'll get our frame out of the road. We're going to set our okay, so what I do here is this is the glazing putty. Here, now you can read it since it's not backwards. That's what I'm using right there. I bought this at a local hardware store just a half a mile from the house. So I just go ahead and I put a little bit right here on the edge of an X-Acto knife and then try and get it as smooth as I can over top. Now, if you get carried away and put too much on, don't worry at all. This stuff is super simple to work with. So sanding it is a breeze. Okay, so don't be afraid to put too much on here. It will sand easy. And I think in a body shop situation, which I've never actually been in, but I think they actually use plastic tools to smooth this stuff out on their vehicles they're doing in real life. Oh, come on. But I found this works just fine. Okay, there's one. to clean off my knife. I would tell you, see how my knife here, there, now you can see a little farther away. See how it's chipped and nicked and there's goobers on it? If you use a blade that's good and sharp, it will work better. So that is not a new blade, but it's not far off. That will actually work better than an old knife, or an old blade anyhow. See if we can fill that in. I gotta tighten that up. That dude's about ready to come out. There. So we filled in our hole, and I'm just going to slide some over the rest of this. There. There's two. If you put this in front of a heater, it dries fairly quickly. But for some reason, it just seems like, you know, you give this thing a day and it just seems like it sands a lot better than if you don't give it enough time. Okay, we'll clean off our blade. Okay, and that's it right there for round 2 of body work. That's all we're doing. All right, so we'll just put the lid back on our glazing putty, put it back on the shelf, and that part of it is done. I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any questions here. Sundown Model Farm says we have a 379 Peterbilt single axle with miter cut 7-inch stacks. That's pretty awesome. Cool. I just did a single axle Peterbilt with miter cut pipes. It's pretty awesome. Excuse me. Now what we're going to do, we're going to run over to the airbrush, and then we are going to shoot paint over our fenders, and I'll show you how I do that. Here we go. All right. So this is my painting station. It's nothing elaborate. I used, just for the record, I used aerosols for years until I bought the airbrush last year. So this is kind of a new tool, more or less, to the lab. So this is an Iwata Revolution CR made in Japan. That's the brand I'm using. I want to say it was $160. I honestly do not recall. So I'm just kind of giving my paint just a little mix here. Also, I'm going to grab my rubber gloves. Radiant Fire Metallic is a really pretty color, by the way. I just love that color. It's gorgeous. I was on a kick for, I did like 2 Peterbilts for a guy, and both of them, well, they were Radiant Fire Metallic, and boy, I was just so excited about that color. I painted everything I owned that color. That and it sounds cool. Okay. After you've mixed up your paint pretty well, man, look at that color. Isn't that pretty? Man, that is smoking. Okay. What I recommend is to use I just buy these at the farm store, and it's just a 59-cent syringe. So I'll go ahead and measure out my paint like that. Then you can get right to the cc's that you want. So I'm going to start out with 40 cc's, or more, 40 milliliters, I guess, not cc's, milliliters is what we're doing here. And normally I would go ahead and clean this up right away because I'm a nerd about that. I just like to have clean tools. I don't like to have painted, goofy up tools hanging around. And then, so this is automotive quality paint. This is automotive grade paint. So I'm using just Acme reducer. This is just an automotive reducer that I buy at Napa Auto Parts here in Dodge. This particular paint, I have found it works better when you mix it 1-to-1. So we used basically 40 cc's or 40 milliliters of paint, and then I'm going to use 40 milliliters of reducer, which is to about here. So far I've found that even if you're not exactly spot on, if you're close, it seems like so far my results have been just really, really great. So there's some wiggle room here. It's not like we're baking bread and everything needs to be exact. For my purposes, this is working pretty well. So about 1-to-1 is what we've done there. I just take a clean screwdriver, mix it up. Now you can see here, look how runny that is. Now I would tell you straight away, I don't know that I'm an expert enough to give you any sound advice on what happens if you add too much reducer. In the cases where maybe I made a little mistake and got sloppy, I would just add a little more paint to get it closer to 1-to-1, and then shoot it. So I am not a scientist here. I am totally a shade tree painter. Okay, now we'll go ahead and put it in. So I like to use these Dixie cups. So these are little Dixie cups. One clean, and then I can just discard them when I'm done. They don't cost hardly anything. So that works pretty cool. All right. Now I'm going to try and get you where you can watch me spray. Here's my Shade Tree Mechanic paint booth. All right, let's see if this is going to get you tall enough. Yeah, that's close. All right. So what I have here, and I don't know if this is proper or not, but what I've done here is I've got an exhaust fan from a bathroom that sucks out the fumes and then pipes them over to the cold side of this building. And then I just have a light switch here, turns on the fan to start the exhaust. So, let's shoot some paint. Normally I wear a respirator anymore too. I used to not, and I thought, man, this is kind of dumb. Why am I not doing that? So I went and bought a respirator. And I guess as I age, I'm not feeling as bulletproof as I used to be. I'm not old, by the way, but I'm getting older. Now, just for fun, You saw how much paint I put in this cup, right? Look how much paint I used. Hardly any. I mixed way more paint than I actually need. But I guess that's just the way it goes. Well, that's a lame statement. Sorry, that's not the way it goes. I just mixed too much paint. One, I've noticed with the airbrush. So that's what 40 milliliters of paint and reducer. That's how much I have left. But then this is what's left here in the cup. There you go. Now you can see it. But then this is what's left in the brush. And I'll go back and put another coat on just because I have the paint in it. I can. But so far I've done 2 sets of fenders, and this is a touch-up bottle of paint, and there's probably it's probably down to this mark right here, which is, so that's 40 milliliters. Maybe that is cc's. What is this? I don't even know what the units are. No, it's milliliters. So right there, you can see it came at 50 and now it's at 40. And I've done a couple of different projects with it. So I found with the airbrush, you do not use much paint. Not like you doing it with an aerosol. Even at full power, like I was just shooting with this, I still didn't use a whole lot of paint. And let me see if we can get you some good light. And there is the color. I'm gonna go get me my portable light here on this quick. Hang on a sec. Okay, let's see if we can get you a better shot of this. There, now you can kind of see it better. That's gorgeous. I just love that color. It's unfortunate we can't reproduce sunlight inside these buildings, because in sunlight, when I take photos of that color outside, oh my gosh, it is so pretty. Whew. Man, it just sparkles. I love metallic reds, and also I just love metallic colors generally. Metallic colors are the best. Okay, let's see, where's my chair? All right. Okay, so that pretty much does it for the lesson. So again, if you were building along the way I've done this, hey, Jacob, all right, Jacob Jones from Garden City. For those of you who don't know, I live in Dodge City, Kansas, and Garden City is just 50 minutes to the west. Full hour if you go all the way past the airport. Where are we at? Okay, so your homework for this week, if you're building along, this is where you should be. You should have done your first sanding and prime first. Then look for all your blems. Come back with body filler. Any blem that still stands out, maybe you scratched something, maybe you filed too deep, go ahead and get your body filler and put your first coat on. And then this week what you will do is you're going to use, not, let me see, I was using, well, you want to use the finest sandpaper you got. So maybe some 100 grit. I was doing my first sanding with 60, but I'll come back with some 100 grit and then give the thing a nice sanding with that. All of that body filler is going to sand off super duper easy with the 100 grit, so it won't take you very long. Just take your time, do it right. If you didn't think about it, you can take an X-Acto knife and see this line right here in the roof. There's one at the top of the roof and one at the back of the cab. You can take your X-Acto knife and clean out that line just so it stands out. Or you can fill the whole thing in and not have any lines. That's up to you. I kind of like them just to break up the side of the cab, so I clean them out. If you finish sanding and you prime again and you're satisfied, you don't see lines and all that other stuff, or any blemishes are all now gone and hidden, then you can prime it and then be ready for color when we get back together. So, and that's if you're doing if you're not doing a two-tone, you need to go ahead and also for homework is shoot your fenders. So you'll notice I shot underneath and on top because we can kind of mask off the underneath part of this fender and then put color on the inside and then color on the outside, of course. So that's where you need to be. That's your homework for next week. It will probably take you, I don't know, an hour this week sometime, or maybe 2 30-minute sessions to sand and prime again and shoot color on the fenders. So really it doesn't take you much to get, you don't have much homework this week, or you shouldn't have much homework this week. So that's what your assignment is for next week. Then next week, we're gonna mask the hood, and then we're gonna shoot color on the cab, the sleeper, and the rest of the hood. Once that is done, we'll do decals, clear coat, and then assembly. That's it. So we're getting to the finish line, and that's pretty awesome. All right, let's take a look at some questions here and see what we got. We don't have any questions. Good. If you happen to have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer anything you want to know. We are only at 26 minutes, so that's a good thing. Oh, I got to brag on my workbench. Check this out. Look at my workbench. That's a ginger beer, by the way. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of like ginger beer. That's tasty stuff. Look at that. My workbench is clear. I've only got 2 projects left for Christmas. This one here is $379. It gets painted deep purple. Then this one is a $389 and it gets painted pearl white and coke red. Huh, that's gonna be pretty cool. And it gets a 48-inch bunk, which received a little bit of extra work. That oil-filled truck is waiting for a part to come in the mail, and then then I gotta put 2 other parts on and it's done. Woo! So that one's ready for the mail. Oh, and then that dump truck over there gets some decals that are supposed to show up for the bed. I can't print ones that go on red. Decals that go on a red truck unless they're pure black. I can't print those here at the house. So those are in the mail, and then those 2 are ready for them to go home to their new owners. Love that. Yeah, pretty cool. All right. One more look at questions, and if you don't, okay, good. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Don't forget your homework, and if you haven't subscribed to the Diecast Lab, now's your chance. Go out and do it. All the lessons are step by step. Matter of fact, all of this content here will end up in the lab and will be removed from you. Well, it won't be removed, but it will be hidden from regular view so Diecast Lab members can have access. Anyways, thank you for watching, and we will catch you next week. Any comments or questions, don't hesitate to leave them. We'll see ya. Good night.